The steppe was silent. Only the sound of the cold wind moved over the endless grasslands. The land felt empty, but it was the birthplace of one of the most powerful forces the world would ever see. Before the empire, before the armies, before the world trembled, there was only a boy. His name was Temujin. Temujin was not born into greatness. He didn't come from a palace or a powerful family. He was born inside a simple tent made of felt and wood, surrounded by horses, wind, and hardship. When he was only 9 years old, his father was poisoned. Overnight, Temujin's tribe abandoned his family. They were left alone on the freezing steppe, without food, without protection, and without hope. Temujin learned suffering before he learned strength. He learned hunger before he learned strategy. He learned betrayal before he learned loyalty. These memories shaped him sharp, cold, and unbreakable. When he was still young, Temujin was captured by an enemy clan. They tied a heavy wooden block around his neck to stop him from escaping. But Temujin was different. He watched. He waited. He studied their habits. One night, when the guards were careless, he ran. He moved silently into the darkness, through rivers, grasslands, and the shadows of the steppe. Anyone else would have died, but Temujin survived. That escape would later be remembered as the first sign that he was not an ordinary person. He was someone chosen by fate, someone who would shape the world. As he grew older, Temujin formed alliances. The most important was with a young warrior named Shamuka. They swore an oath as blood brothers, promising to support each other forever. But ambition destroys promises. Shamuka wanted power. Temujin wanted unity. Their dreams could not exist together. The steppe was too small for two rising leaders. Soon they became enemies, and their conflict began shaping the future of Mongolia. Temujin was not the strongest warrior. He was not the fastest rider, but he was the smartest. He understood fear. He understood loyalty. And he understood how to make people believe in his vision. Temujin began winning battles that no one expected him to win. He united small clans. He protected the weak. He rewarded skill, not bloodline. On the Mongolian steppe, this was revolutionary. Other leaders demanded obedience. Temujin inspired it. In 1206, the tribes gathered on the sacred plains. Under the eternal blue sky, they raised Temujin above their heads and proclaimed him Genghis Khan, universal ruler. At that moment, the world changed. Genghis Khan did not build a normal army. He built the most effective military machine of the medieval world. The Mongol warriors could ride for days without stopping. They could sleep on their horses. They carried dried meat that they softened under their saddles. They used composite bows that could shoot farther than any European bow. But their true strength was discipline. Every soldier knew his position. Every commander followed precise orders. Their communication system, fire signals, flags, and horse messengers was unmatched. Their information network, spies, scouts, maps, was years ahead of other civilizations. Where the Mongols moved, empires fell. Genghis Khan didn't attack just to conquer. He attacked to send a message. No one is safe if they break trust. When a caravan of Mongol traders was murdered by a foreign ruler, Genghis Khan reacted with fury. He sent ambassadors to demand justice. The ruler killed the ambassadors and mocked the Mongols. This was a fatal mistake. Genghis Khan unleashed an army of 200,000 warriors. Cities burned, walls fell. Those who resisted were erased. The Mongols moved like a storm, fast, merciless, unstoppable. One of their greatest early victories was the city of Bukhara. Bukhara was confident. Bukhara had strong walls. Bukhara believed the Mongols could never reach them. But the Mongols crossed deserts that no army had ever crossed before. They arrived like ghosts, silent, sudden, everywhere at once. When the gates fell, Genghis Khan entered the city not like a conqueror, but like a judge. He stood before the captured nobles and said, "I am the punishment of God. If you had not committed great sins, God would not have sent a punishment like me." The message spread across Central Asia: surrender or be erased. Many assume the Mongols won only through fear, but this is not the whole truth. They won because they were flexible. They learned from every culture they encountered. From the Chinese, they learned siege weapons. From the Persians, they learned administration. They absorbed ideas like a sponge and used them better than the people who invented them. In less than 20 years, the Mongol Empire stretched across a territory larger than Rome or Alexander the Great ever controlled. The world was holding its breath. From the edges of Europe to the walls of China, stories spread like wildfire. Tales of horsemen who moved faster than storms. Warriors who could appear, disappear, and then reappear hundreds of kilometers away. People whispered a single name with fear, respect, and curiosity: Genghis Khan. The Khwarezmian Empire was powerful and confident. But arrogance is a dangerous shield. When Genghis Khan's ambassadors were killed, it sealed the fate of the entire empire. The Mongols didn't rage blindly, they planned. For months they gathered intelligence, drew maps, and learned the weaknesses of every city. Then they attacked from multiple directions at once. It was a masterpiece of strategy. The Khwarezmian Empire collapsed like a sandcastle in the wind. The Shah fled across his collapsing empire, chased constantly by Mongol forces. He died alone on an island, a warning to the planet. If you break trust with the Mongols, you break trust with fate. The most difficult challenge still stood: China. It was ancient, organized, and defended by the Great Wall. But the Mongols were patient. They studied every weakness. They learned siege warfare from captured engineers. They built catapults, towers, and machines that threw burning oil. After years of brutal fighting, the walls of the capital, Chengdu, the city that would become Beijing, finally fell. China, a civilization thousands of years old, bowed. How did the Mongols control such a vast empire? With information. The Yam system, a network of post stations with fresh horses, allowed messages to travel faster than in any other civilization. It was the ancient world's internet. Genghis Khan also created a law code called the Yasa. It punished theft harshly, rewarded loyalty, and surprisingly, it guaranteed religious freedom. A Christian, a Muslim, and a Taoist could all serve in the Mongol court. What mattered was not belief, but usefulness. Even storms had. In 1227, Genghis Khan died. The cause is still a mystery. His burial place remains unknown. His soldiers killed anyone who crossed the funeral procession to hide the location. Genghis Khan disappeared into the earth he once ruled, but his empire did not die. It exploded. It was divided between his sons and grandsons. Gedi became Great Khan, and his forces invaded Eastern Europe. Kublai Khan completed the conquest of China and founded the Yuan dynasty. The Golden Horde controlled Russia. Europe was not prepared for the Mongol storm. Poland fell. Hungary fell. The Mongols reached the edges of Vienna and were only spared because Gedi Khan died, forcing the generals to return home to elect a new leader. Years later, Genghis Khan's grandson, Kublai Khan, moved the capital to Beijing and became the Emperor of China. He built roads, canals, and improved trade. This was the age Marco Polo described, a world of paper money and massive cities that shocked Europe. But no empire lasts forever. The Mongols ruled too many cultures. Their leaders began to fight among themselves. The empire broke into separate khanates, and one by one, they fell. But their influence never vanished. The Mongols connected the world. They created the Silk Road network, allowing trade and ideas to flow between China, the Middle East, and Europe. Some say they were destroyers, others creators. The truth? They were both. They were the storm that reshaped the earth. And long after the empire fell, the world continued to live inside the borders they once created. Thanks for watching. If you found this story as fascinating as I did, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe for more deep dives into history. See you next time.